Hey everyone, it's Shark, and welcome to my new series where I will explain how you can pull off some of the more advanced strategies used by the top Henk players. As I also want to explain to you not only why, but also how they work, first you'll need to understand how certain things work in Action Henk. This is what this video is for, and I highly recommend you watching this one before you move on to the actual guides. At the end I will also already explain the first rather simple strategy, so stay tuned. First of all, you'll need to understand how jumps actually work in Henk. While playing, there are two values for horizontal and vertical speed that determine in which direction and how fast you are moving. When you press jump, it will simply add a certain amount to your vertical velocity value. Keep that in mind, as this will be important to understand how a couple strategies work later on. When you run, the game will attempt to get you to a certain amount of speed. That means whenever you are slower than that speed, assuming you are walking on a flat path and aren't slowed down by walking up hills, you will accelerate until you reach that speed. However, this is a soft cap, meaning that you can achieve higher speeds, for example through sliding or turbo pads, but when you pass that cap you will progressively slow down until you are at the speed cap again. When you start sliding, that cap disappears and you can, theoretically, go fast and faster if the downward ramp never ends. The problem is, as soon as you're not going downhill anymore, you will start to slow down because of friction, even more so if you're going uphill. Therefore, you should only slide on flat parts and uphill if you're already going faster than the speed cap. Note that you lose more speed when sliding uphill compared to when you run. That rule doesn't apply to loops and anything like them, for example half loops or U-shaped ramps, as they work differently. Another interesting fact is that the game doesn't take your inputs to run in any direction while you're sliding. Try sliding down a hill holding right, nothing, or left, and there will be no difference until you jump or stop sliding. Today's strategy will be how to preserve speed using jumps. For this strategy to work, you'll need to go faster than the speed cap in the first place, and you'll also need a part of the track that is flat and long enough for you to actually have enough space to do a jump. This one is explained pretty quickly. As soon as you enter said long, flat part of the track, having a good amount of speed, start tap jumping until you can't fit another jump before the next part of the map. To understand how this strategy works, you'll need to remember how running and sliding works. The problem you're facing is that if you are as quick as you need to be for this strategy, you'll be over the speed cap for running. Should you decide to run, the game will try to bring you down to the soft speed cap, thus slowing you down. If you are sliding, you will also slow down because of friction, as mentioned earlier. While you are mid-air, there is no friction and the speed cap whilst running doesn't apply either. Therefore, you will keep your speed. Also important is that you do tap jumps and not full jumps. Unless you only got space for one full jump but not two tap jumps, because you will be mid-air for almost as long whilst having to travel less distance. Just make sure to immediately jump again as soon as you land, should you have space for multiple jumps. As an example, as you can see from the footage in the background, I chose the map Hot Feet. You have a nice amount of speed because of the downwards ramp and the turbo pad, and you want to keep as much of that speed as possible until you reach the U ramp. As soon as you pass the turbo pad, you need to start tap jumping. On this map, you can fit 5 tap jumps if you start jumping again immediately after landing. I think pulling it off well might be a little harder, as you'll need to judge how many jumps you can fit, or whether you should attempt 2 tap jumps or 1 full jump. Overall though, this strategy is very easy. The low usefulness rating doesn't mean that this strategy is useless, it's just not as useful compared to other stuff. On top, there's only a very limited amount of maps where you can actually use this strategy, so that's where the rating comes from. On the few maps where you can actually pull it off, this will improve your time by a bit, but well, not as much as other strategies. Well, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week for the next strategy.